Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Purposely Design. I'm basically picking up from Christ's love towards us and us being one in and through Him, because that was the beginning of choosing purpose, choosing the position over power. That was something that the Lord had spoke to me. I heard the Lord say, some of us are so busy playing the position that they forget about the power. People get so eager to play the position that they begin neglecting God's power. And in 2 Timothy 3, I'm going to start with verse 1. It says, "This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof." Right there. Having a form of godliness. They're practicing the role of godliness, but they're denying the power thereof. It says, "From such turn away." He tell you, don't even go over there. They ain't even acknowledging the power of God. "For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive women laden with sins, led away with divers lusts, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth." Then the Lord began dealing with me regarding weapons of mass destruction. So in order for you to consider a weapon of this sort as such, you have to have seen, thought, or heard of it. Most of the time, someone either has spied it out or have overheard talk of a certain place or country having these weapons of mass destruction. Not only that, but until you see it go off, you'll never truly know like the power that exists inside of that weapon. So until you actually see what it can do, you don't really know what it's capable of. You can go by what people say it's capable of. You can go by what the scientists claim. All it does is this. But until this weapon goes off, you don't know the power that exists inside of that weapon. Think about it. You know, David, when I think about David, King David, was a weapon prior to truly stepping up on the scene. Once he arrived, he knew exactly what to do and how to slay Goliath. If you go to 1 Samuel 17, you'll see where, that, when he began slaying whole armies, remember, he began showing he was a weapon by slaying the giant first. See, nobody knew who David was. People looked right over him, even his father. I got that one that's back there. He tends to the sheep. Okay, he a little strong, little fellow. He back there tending to the sheep, not knowing the power that existed in this young man. Just going by the looks of him and not knowing what lied within him. And a lot of times people are overlooked. They're not seen as who they are. You hold this power that's within you, and you don't even recognize the fullness of that power. They didn't see his capabilities. They didn't know his background, let alone his true identity. Sometimes we don't know truly what we possess within ourselves even. We don't know our capabilities. We don't know who we are fully until we're put into action. Until there's the opposition. Here this opposition was, and David has seen Goliath no differently than he saw the animals. So here this big old giant, he's like, oh shoot, he ain't nobody. When you start to change the way you see things, you start to change the playing field. So let's go to 1 Samuel 17:34. And it says, and David said unto Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear and took a lamb out of the flock. Now look, I was sitting over here. I'm just ad-libbing, guys. I was sitting over here tending to these sheep, and here came a lion, a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. 1 Samuel 17:36 says, thy servant slew both the lion and the bear. Look, this ain't no different. I turned around, I slew both the lion and the bear. They sit there and came and took this lamb, and guess what? I defended the lamb. I slew both lion and bear. And this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them. He said, and this ain't gonna be nothing different. Just like I slayed them, I'll slay him too. See, and he have defied the armies of the living God. Look, he done defied the armies of the living God. He gotta go. He gotta die. You know what I'm saying? He done came for the wrong one. I got him. I know. And see, this is the difference, because David knew the power. He knew the power that resided in him, because, you know why? Because he did this before. He already done slayed these bears, and he done already been in the middle of opposition and had to learn how to use what he had that was available to him in order to slay whatever it is that he had to slay. You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes we don't know even how to use the things that are readily available for us so that we can slay those giants that are coming. Some things to be a distraction, some things to try to take over, some things to, try to get you off onto the wrong course. You know what I'm saying? We don't recognize these things. And so a lot of us don't know how to fight back, is what I'm saying. At the end of the day, we sit and we get ran over. We sat back while things attack us and fight us and defeat us. You know what I'm saying? But here it is, when you learn how to recognize these things and call them out and learn how to fight back. You know what I'm saying? Like, recognize, like, wait a minute, I done been through this before. This ain't nothing new to me. I slew it then and I can slay it now. You know what I'm saying? I got through it then and I can get through this thing now. This ain't no different than before. Okay, I done been here already. And when you recognize where you've already been, you change the playing field. It's no longer the same as it was. Now you can see something different happen. Now you recognize that I can defeat this thing. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't me, but that it's the power that's within me. When you learn how to recognize the power that lies within. And a lot of times we just don't recognize that power that lies within us. See, when you change the way you see things, you change the battleground. When you see things like, hold up, you know, I've been here, you level the playing field. Anything that may be seen or deemed as impossible now becomes extremely possible. If God was able to deliver you from your last situation, what makes you think this one is any different? God is able. You know, if he was able to deliver you through the storm if he was able to deliver you from whatever illness, whatever surgery you had to go through, whatever mental crisis you went through, whatever job that you may have lost, whatever relationship that had broken up, whatever the opposition, if he was able to deliver you before, what makes it any different? If you look upon it as, oh shoot, I done been there, I done did that. Oh, God has well equipped me, and then use exactly what you have been given to fight with. Use exactly what is available to you. What did you use before? A lot of people are picking up, you know, they gave him a sword and a shield. Everything was just too heavy. It wasn't, you know, like before. All he used was stones then. You know, and the same stones that he used before, he was able to reuse and defeat this giant. See, and a lot of times we want to try something new. But the enemy's tactics ain't new. It's always the same. He may come with a new face. He may come with a new challenge, something that he may use, you know, try to go about things another way, but it's still the same thing. Okay, here it is. These were animals. And guess what? He looked at that person, that giant, as the same thing as these animals. Yeah, the bear was bigger than him. So was the lion. But at the end of the day, he said, "Oh, these are all beasts, and so is this giant. And just like they fell, so will this. So will this giant." When you recognize this thing as, oh shoot, this could fall too. If God got me through this, he'll get me through this too. You know what I'm saying? When you recognize that no weapon formed against you shall prosper, he delivered you out of the hands of the enemy multiple times. He done caused you to triumph over all these different obstacles. What makes it any different now? Ephesians 3:20 says, "Now unto him that is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. Recognize the power that worketh in you. We have to acknowledge the power over the position. Yeah, you have the position as whatever your position is today. But do you recognize the power that lies within you? Which is why you even hold that position. You was put into the position because the power that lies within you. Now, at times, yes, we tend to take on positions and aren't qualified for such. Sometimes we put ourselves in the positions, and sometimes others put us into that position. But if we go with the position that God has placed us into, when I'm talking about these positions, I'm talking about the will of God. I'm talking about Him placing you in this position. Now, He can place it through people. He can place you in that position in multiple ways. But just know that you have the power within in order for you to demonstrate and to qualify for this position. You are that weapon of mass destruction. You are that hidden jewel. You are that thing that nobody know what you were capable of. It's so amazing how at times we underestimate people. We don't never really truly know their capabilities until all of a sudden, like I said, opposition comes. And before you know it, that person has to fight. Well, you don't expect for this little bitty one to be over here defeating or fighting this big old giant. You expect one of these grown people, these big grown folks, the ones that are on the battlefield, you expect for one of them maybe to defeat the enemy. But God said, no, that little one right there, that's the one that's going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Here, David, scrawny self, they over there talking about how little he was. And there's no way that you could look upon him and say he going to fight this giant. He going to win. They was feeling bad for him. Like, are you sure this is what you want to do? Because, I'm going to give you all the protection I could give you. That's all they knew. But see, they didn't know that he already had a protection. The protection that he had, you can't see. You know what I'm saying? When you have God as your protection, no weapon form is going to prosper anyway. And he's just as I spoke on prior, he will give you a strategy in order to defeat your enemy. See, God is not slack concerning his promises. Whatever he tell you he going to do it. Okay, let's go to Joshua 23:6. It says, be ye therefore very courageous to keep and to do all that is written in the book of the law of Moses, that ye turn not aside therefrom to the right hand or to the left, that ye come not among these nations, these that remain among you, neither make mention of the name of their gods, nor cause to swear by them, neither serve them, nor bow yourselves unto them, but cleave unto the Lord your God, as ye have done unto this day. For the Lord hath driven out from before you great nations and strong. But as for you, no man hath been able to stand before you unto this day. You see how powerful our God is? When you serve him, when you make him Lord over your life and you cleave unto him, guess what? Nobody, no army, no weapon that's formed can defeat you. He said, For the Lord have driven out from before you great nations. Even nations gotta go. He said, but as for you, no man have been able to stand before you until this day. Nobody can take you out, not even now. One man of you shall chase 1,000. For the Lord your God, he it is that fighteth for you, as he hath promised. You see that? One man of you, he said, shall chase 1,000. Look at the power that lies within you. One will chase 1,000. For the Lord your God, he it is that fighteth for you, as he hath promised you. So he promised, and so he gonna keep his word. He gonna fight for you. You ain't gotta worry about fighting for yourself. He said, take good heed, therefore, unto yourselves, that ye love the Lord your God. Once again, here we come back with love. He said, love the Lord your God. 2 Corinthians 10 says, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. You know, there's things that will get a hold of you and you cannot cut loose. But you know what? When you are that weapon of mass destruction, he said, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. These things are spiritual, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. Everything has to surrender. Everything has to be brought down. You know what I'm saying? You are that weapon of mass destruction. You have the capability to bring those things down, even down to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down those imaginations, and bringing every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God, bring it into captivity, every thought to the obedience of Christ. And having in a readiness to revenge all disobedience when your obedience is fulfilled. So we have to do God's will in order for us to be obedient. Well, we have to be obedient in order for our obedience to be fulfilled. We have to be ready to revenge all disobedience. You know, you're going to have to be ready to fight. At the end of the day, that's what it is. You're going to have to guard up. You're going to have to get ready. You know what I'm saying? You are that weapon of mass destruction. You have all power. See, God, he sent Jesus, and through him, he had all power. Wherefore, if you're in him and he's in you, just as we spoke on that last episode, how in the last podcast that, you know, we're in him and he's in us. You know, we are one. Don't neglect the power over the position. You got a position. God had placed you in that position for a reason. And it's not to lay down. You know, yeah, you may have been hidden for a while, but now it's time for you to show up for, you need to show up as to who you are. You need to show up and be the person that God had called you to be in this hour, whoever you are, male, women, whatever, child, infant, it's just time to show up. We got to be the people that God have chosen us and called us out to be. He chose us to be who we are. He chose us in this hour right now, where you are right now. The reason why you're still here is because of who you are. It's because you have been chosen to do whatever it is He called you to do. Some of us still struggle with what exactly that is. And that comes with the only way that we really truly know is that relationship, that bond that we build with Him. You know what I'm saying? And to be able to accept and acknowledge the truth. Some of us don't even want to acknowledge the truth. Some of us don't even want to acknowledge the position that God had placed us in. Some of us don't want to acknowledge the calling that God had called us to. You know what I'm saying? That we've been chosen for, even. Because He said many are called, but few are chosen. So the ones that are chosen is the main ones I'm talking about, because something about the chosen ones that are like that bomb, that weapon of mass destruction, because it may look little. See, some things look like, oh, that ain't nothing, but the explosion is big. Okay, you see what I'm saying? The impact is huge. You know what I mean? And so at times we don't recognize the power that exists within us. We got power. Come with me real quick to 2 Timothy and 1 and 7. It says, "For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and love and of a sound mind." God has given us power, He's given us love, and He's given us a sound mind. And so, if you got power, then you are able to defeat the enemy. If you have love, and you are able to defeat the enemy through God's love. It's something about love. Love, it knows exactly how to calm down wrath. Turn with me to Romans 12 and 20. It says, "Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in so doing, thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head." It changes the way that person thinks when you are kind to them, when you show forth God's love towards them. They may try to fight against it. They may even try to, deny it. They may try to call it fake. And, it's so many things that people say because they don't understand. You know what I mean? Well, why is this person being so nice to me anyway? Why are they, coming at me like this? I done came at them sideways and they still being kind to me. Why? I done started up some stuff, but but they still sweet to me. Why is this? They don't know how to handle that. Because you're showing forth God's love. And it's something about the love of God. It turns away wrath. Even Proverbs 15 and one says, a soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. So sometimes even just the very things that you may say will either get things hot, get people mad, get people angry, or it can calm everything all the way down. You know, it just, but anywho, the main topic of today is talking about that power that exists within you. You have to really, truly acknowledge God's power that lies within you, because His power, at times you don't even recognize how strong it is. But His power is so strong that you are like that weapon of mass destruction and taking out the forces of darkness. You know what I'm saying? Those things that you start to recognize these spirits, things that are not of God. And because of who you are, and because of who God is in you, you're able to take these out. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the enemy's going to fight. Yeah, people ain't gonna like you. Yeah, them spirits really gonna be mad. You know what I'm saying? So be ready for that. Be ready for a lot of opposition. Be ready for anything to try to rear its ugly head concerning you, because of the fact of you are that weapon. You know what I'm saying? And when God turns you loose, there's no telling what just may happen just because of who you are. When he turns you loose, sometimes we free bird and try to go turn ourselves loose and do things on our own. But when God turns us loose, it makes a difference. Because He knows when we're ready. Just like David, he chose him, he anointed him. He didn't know he was going to end up having to fight this giant. But you know what? Because of his compassion and his love that he had for God and His people. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing about a leader. For them, when you got a leader, most leaders have not only love for God, but for His people as well. You know what I'm saying? That Jesus, when He came on the scene, He not only had love for God, He not only wanted to please the Father, but He also was careful and gentle with the sheep. You know what I'm saying? And He taught the sheep everything that God taught Him. He was teaching it to the sheep. He was teaching it to His disciples. You know what I'm saying? And He knew what to say. He knew what was going to cause division at times, when others were traveling along, and here it looked like they were a part of them. You know what I mean? They looked like they fit the part. Before you knew it, they done separated. Why? Because He said one little thing, and all of a sudden people ready to jump the gun. They ready to run. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm going to eat your flesh and drink your blood. Now you talking crazy. I ain't doing all that. See, that right there, will cause you to miss out on something, especially when here it is you're seeing the manifestations of God, when you're seeing that God is working in that person, when you're seeing Him doing something. You know what I'm saying? And you can't deny the power thereof. You can't deny that this is God work. And so then you're seeing these things, and then they say something, and it may be sort of off to you. But that don't necessarily mean it ain't right. You see what I'm saying? Just because you don't understand it. And that's where we go wrong, because of our lack of understanding. You know what I'm saying? Because of where we are in our growth, where we are in our spiritual growth. You know what I'm saying? Some of us are still more carnal than we are spiritual. And it don't depend on your age. It's all spirit. You know what I'm saying? It's all your relationship with the Father. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the child is more mature spiritually than the mother. Okay? So you can't quite label it from a carnal aspect. It's all spiritual, you know what I'm saying? And so here you got people that don't truly and fully know their capabilities. They truly don't fully know God's capability. They don't, because here it is. He's talking about eating my flesh, drinking my blood, and they're like, well, what do you mean? We're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? Therefore, they're limiting God in that type of perspective, in a carnal perspective. You know what I'm saying? Or, saying I'm in my Father and my Father is in me. Oh, no, now you blaspheme. You see what I'm saying? And so I'm just using some scenarios. You can look and read in the Word where it talks about this, which we've talked about this in the past. But these are things that, you can see in the scriptures where it just, these simple words have caused great divisions. But Jesus was that giant slayer. He was, the weapon of mass destruction. And he still is, because he's doing it now within us. That's the difference. When we recognize the power that exists, that resides within the inside of us, if you go to the first podcast, the one prior to this, you'll recognize that, I talked about us being in him and in the Father, you know what I'm saying, and how he wants us to be one. And now we're talking about that power that resides in him and also in us. You know what I'm saying? Through him, we have power. Through him, we have power, y'all. I'm telling you, the power is there. If you tap into it, you'll know. You know what I'm saying? You'll recognize it. And a lot of times we don't. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times we don't. We just go off of what's been said. We go off of the traditional things, and all this other stuff just seem like mumbo jumbo. You know what I mean? To others, it's one of those things where we need our understanding enlightened in order for us to really recognize the things of God. You see what I'm saying? We need to, because he let it be known in those scriptures that you're not none of mine. Because if you knew my Father, then you would know me. He basically broke down the relationship and everything. And a lot of times today, even people don't have that relationship. They don't know the Father. So of course they're going to deny. They're going to deny you because they don't even have a relationship with the Father. They're going to deny you because they don't even have a relationship with the Son. They don't even recognize him as the Son. They don't even recognize that he was working in the power of God. You know what I'm saying? And that God was within him and he was within, the Father. And when we're in both of it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, when you acknowledge that, when you acknowledge it. See, when the people that was able to acknowledge it, that's where you see the majority of the miracles. The people that acknowledge that God is working in this man, the miracles, you start to see the miracles become manifest. And I believe that all of us, when we recognize the power that exists within us, you'll see more of the miracles manifest within our lives, And in that last episode, I was also talking about, showing that love one towards another. A lot of us have yet to do that. A lot of us, don't know how to show love. For once, a lot of us don't even know how to love. Let's just be honest. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people have issues loving themselves, let alone showing love towards someone else. Some of us love others more than we love ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And, some of us have that agape love that we love other people just without limits, regardless as to what they do or say. That's the love of God. Because one thing about Jesus didn't sit there and say, oh, well, because you thought like this. Oh, well, because you said that, I don't love you. He never said that. But you came for the ones that the Father had given to him, then you will see the problems. You see what I'm saying? That's when the Pharisees and the Sadducees really saw, Jesus get upset. Or you said you did anything like in the house of prayer. They was doing all this gambling, doing everything under the sun that they ought not to be doing in his Father's house. Oh, he started turning over tables then. You see what I'm saying? There's the power in him. Now he's going to start showing forth. Look, I'm not to be played with. This ain't that. And my Father definitely ain't. And this is not what, he called this place to be. Y'all done made this thing a den of thieves. This is supposed to be a house of prayer. Y'all done changed the image, okay? You done built up the foundation and you changed the trajectory, okay? You done change things up. It ain't even what it's supposed to be. And a lot of times people want their mess to be blessed. You see what I'm saying? That's the mess to be blessed. When you change what God had intended and you make it to be beneficial just to you and not to him. You're implementing everything else, the things of the world, because see, you don't care nothing about the things of the world. You implement all these things in order to pacify yourself or pacify people, and versus pleasing God. So, it's one thing if he gives you something to do, and it may be outside of what you would normally do, but versus you just doing stuff just because it's going to bring more funds. You see what I'm saying? Makes a difference. You know what I mean? It really truly does. So anyways, I done spoke long enough. I just really wanted to make sure I deliver this word. There's many more that's going to be coming because I had quite a bit, but like I said, being that I've been a bit under the weather this week, I haven't been able to quite deliver it. And then last week I was pretty busy, and I was actually, thank God he allowed me to show forth his demonstration of power in prayer, with people, and just, last week, just being able to go to church, at Pastor Jackson, to be able to pray with others, and demonstrate his love towards others. God love us. If you don't know anything else, if you don't get anything else out of this message, know that he loves us. Know that he loves you, and that you have power within you. You don't have to be defeated. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us hold something even more powerful than what we know. Even more powerful than what you may even think. You know what I'm saying? If you can hear God's voice, a lot of people struggle with that. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of us take advantage of those things. A lot of us not only take advantage of it, but, really don't recognize it as a true gift, but it is. You know what I mean? And even the gift of tongues, gift of prophecy, all the gifts of the Spirit, everybody don't have these gifts. And, but if you have the Holy Spirit, one thing you'll recognize is that when you have the Holy Spirit, then you have all five. Because it all comes in Him. You know what I'm saying? And when not only you have Him, but you acknowledge Him. And a lot of times, all of us have the Holy Spirit. Hey, He dwells within us. But we don't recognize Him. We don't recognize He lives there. We don't, if we haven't surrendered our hearts over to God. And some of us have done that. But, we limit what God can do. And when we start turning the pages and acknowledging God is so awesome. He's able to just do anything but fail. That's the only thing He's unable to do. And you recognize how awesome God truly is, and His power that lies within. I mean, it will change your life. And when you are willing to truly surrender everything, when you're really, truly willing to surrender your own very life, everything, with nothing hinders you from serving Him. When you put everything else to the side and you just go full throttle, okay? Surrender all. That's when I believe we can see fully the manifestations of God in our lives. But anyways, like I said, just recognize the power. You can't do the position without power. So acknowledge God's power, within you. Until next time, God bless you. May He keep you, and may He keep you in perfect peace. Allow that so that our minds, help us, Lord, to keep our minds stayed on Thee. In Jesus' name, amen.